So this is going to be algebraic proofs, all right? Just make sure you get all this written down, and I'll give you plenty of time to get the stuff written down, okay? But again, you're going to be using all of this with algebraic proofs, geometric proofs, and we'll have more after that as well when we get to triangles, okay? But you need to understand what these properties are and what you're going to use to solve them, okay? So with proofs, okay, you don't necessarily have to write this down, just know, okay? A proof is an argument that uses logic, definitions, properties, and previously proven statements to show a conclusion is true. So at the beginning, we'll start our proofs. We'll go further down, and using the stuff that we've already written down, okay, we're going to prove that the conclusion is true. So we've talked about hypothesis and conclusion. This is just kind of more into that and diving deeper into that, okay? So just know, important part of writing a proof is giving justifications to show that each step is valid, okay? If you did write this down, you can just write the proof part. You don't have to worry about writing that second part down, okay? But this next part, it's going to seem like a lot, but go ahead and write out the whole table, write out the words, and write out the examples, okay? Because this is what you're going to be using. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, Nikki, finish that and throw it away. Whose is it? Breck, finish it and throw it away.
Yeah, Breck.
Okay, I need you to write all this down. All right, listen to me real quick. Just know, write these as of properties, but do not worry about any of equalities. Do not write of equalities on any of them, but write out all these properties. Leave room for one more on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to give you plenty of time to write this down, but these are important to know because we're going to be using all of these. Sorry? Yeah, write the stuff on the right side because those are your examples. So write all this down. I know you already know what addition is. I know you know what subtraction is, but make sure you write addition property and write out the example, okay? Because maybe on your test next week, you will be given these examples and you have to tell me what property they are. Okay? Maybe. So I'll give you plenty of time to write that down. So go ahead and take your time, write those down. It gives you an example of what that is. All right, remember, do not write the of equality. All right, just write it down, you two. All right, we'll talk about some of these, but it'll make more. Some of them will make more sense when we have an example with it. All right, remember if you wrote a table, leave room for one more on the bottom because for some reason one of them is on the next slide, not this slide. And just put your pencil down when you're done so I know you're done. Okay. Addition, property, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay. Those should make sense because we should know what these four things do. Okay. You're just adding, you're just subtracting, okay, you're just multiplying, or you're just dividing. All right. We'll use a lot of those today. Reflexive property. I know it just says A equals A. All right. We'll have some examples with this, but this will make more sense with triangles. So on this example on the board, when we learn triangles kind of into this semester, next semester, okay, there'll be some instances where you see how these two triangles right here, they share this same side. All right, we would just say like AC is congruent to AC. All right, that would be an example of reflexive property where we will be using that. Okay, but that's telling us, okay, it shares the same side, so we can say those two sides are congruent. All right, symmetric, just know, okay, it says if A equals B, then B equals A. In some cases, maybe it tells you to prove that X equals 2. All right, and then you're solving your equation, you get 2 equals X. That would be in a case where you have to switch it and use symmetric. All right, transitive property you'll see quite a lot with geometric proofs. So if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. And then substitution, you'll see substitution a lot, okay? If A equals B, then B can be substituted for A in any expression, okay? So we'll see examples like that, okay? But you're just substituting a value into your equation, okay? I'll give you like 15 more seconds to finish writing those down, okay? And just a reminder, there's one more. We'll talk about that. Not necessarily the properties, but what we do today. But hopefully you don't find it. You shouldn't find it too hard. Are you on the last one, Colton? On the next one, just go ahead and put, it's going to be distributive property. Okay, and I'll have that example in a second. Okay, he's writing down the last part. But we'll be using a little bit of distributive property as well. All right, yep, just write this one. Distributive property, and just put that as the example. You don't need to just, yeah, put distributive property. There's your example. You don't need to write the whole like sentence out. Okay. But there is that last property. All right. And this should sound hopefully familiar to you as well. Hopefully you know what the distributive property does. Okay, so here's an example on what we will have. So this just says solve the equation 4m minus 8 equals negative 12. All right, we got to write a justification for each step, okay? Hopefully most of us know how to solve this equation, okay? But what we're going to do is I want you to get in the habit of having a statements column, okay? Something that looks like this. All right, and this is going to be the way we're going to write our 2-column proofs, okay? So we have a statements column and a reasons column. All right, and this is how we're going to do those algebraic proofs. All right, so we just have that statements and we have that those reasons, okay? Our first statement is we always put what we are given. Okay, so in this one, it tells us we need to solve 4m minus 8 equals negative 12. Well, that's what we're given, so I'm going to put that right here. Okay? Then my reason, most of the time it's going to be one of those properties. Okay? But on this one, when we write what we are given, our reason is given. Okay? Every single time you start with a proof, you put what you're given, your reason is given. All right, those should be the 2 easiest points anytime you do this. All right, whatever equation you are given, you put first, our reason is given. Okay, there's 2 easy points there every time you're getting, it's that given equation. Okay, now when solving, okay, what do I do? What do I need to do next to solve? Yeah. Yeah, by doing what? Yeah, I'm going to add 8 to the other side. Okay, so I'm adding 8 to the other side. All right, and what does that give us? What do we have left? 4m equals negative 4. Okay, what did we do? What do we do right here? We just added to both sides. So what property do we think that is? Yeah, just addition property. Okay, and if you want to abbreviate, you can abbreviate. So I'm going to put just ADD dot prop. Okay, and that's going to be representing addition property. Okay, so it does addition property. Okay, the next one, it says simplify. All right, so if you said this was step 2 and you put addition property and then you said simplify as step 3, that's fine. All right, but I think it might just be easier to write it out kind of like this. Okay, so you don't have to put the simplify and it gets complicated. Now, what do we do for our next step? Divide by what? So what does that give us? Close. M equals negative 1. So what did we just do? Divide. So what property is it? Division property. Okay? All right. And there you go. That's all we're doing for the algebraic proofs. Okay? We're just solving. You guys should already know how to solve them. And we're just explaining what property we use to solve. Uh-huh. We'll talk about it. But yeah, it would be something like that.
Oh, what is it?
I thought we already said that. Okay. This one already shows you, okay? But if you had an example where it was negative half of t equals negative 7, okay? What would our first statement be? What do we put as the first statement every time? Yeah, what's given? So I would write that as negative half t, okay, equals negative 7. And our reason's going to be given, okay? Now, in order to get rid of the half, we got to multiply both sides by 2, okay? That's what we normally do, all right? And then what property did I just use? What did I just do on both sides? Yeah, so I just multiplied, okay? Over here, the 2's cancel out, so it leaves us with t equals negative 14, and all I did was the multiplication property, okay? Look, this one only had 2 steps, and that's all you have to do, okay? Some may have 2, some may have 3, some may have 6, all right? It just depends on that problem, okay? But all we're doing is just explaining the steps. Yeah. Sure. Okay? Do we have any questions on that? All right, let's look at look at A through E, or let's just do A through D first. Tell me what property. All we're going to be doing is naming the property. So maybe in your notes, write this down and see if you can figure out just what properties we use for 1 through 4. Or A through D, sorry. Yeah. You can just put in your notes like A is this. Right? And then use those notes on what your properties to help you out, figure those out. So I'll give you about 30 more seconds to figure those out, and then we'll talk about them. Okay. What do we think? Who thinks they know what A is going to be? Yeah. Not quite. This should be symmetric. Okay, symmetric property is A. All right. Who thinks they can tell me what B is? Yeah. Addition, perfect. I'm just going to put add. What about C? Yeah, this would be transitive. Okay? Because this is like if A equals B, B equals C, all right, then A equals C. That's what's happening right over there. All right, so this is transitive. All right, then what about D? Yeah, this is reflexive. Okay, D is going to be reflexive property. All right, I'm going to move. I'm not going to write it down because I'm going to move up. Let's look at these four real quick. All right, what do we think E is going to be? E, yep, E is also, yes, sorry. E is also transitive. What about F? The one you did earlier. Reflexive. What about G? This is multiplication. All right, and then finally, what about H? That's symmetric. Okay? So just use those notes to help you, but that last one's symmetric. Okay, do we need to repeat any of those other ones? All right, I want you to look at this one, all right, and try this one on your own. Now, understand, it has a lot of boxes, okay, but don't pay attention to the boxes because if you added the simplifying, that's what all the boxes are for. But do it like, solve it and do it with the statements and reasons, and then we will look at this one together, okay? But I want you to try this on your own. So solve it and give me the reason of all of the problems. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and do that real quick. And then we will talk about that together. Okay, so let's look at this one. Okay, what is my reason going to be for this first statement? Yeah, it's just given. Okay, every single time your first one's given. Now, you may approach this a little bit different. Okay, but that's okay as long as you get the same answer and we do this pretty much the same amount of steps. Okay, what's one example on what I could do as my first step? I can subtract the 2 over. I could also add the 4 over. Okay, So see, it might be a little bit different, but eventually we're still going to do the same thing. So I'm going to add the 4 over first. So I'm just going to put plus 4x, okay? So that gives me 7x plus 2 equals 23. All right, and what property did I just use? Addition, okay? If you subtracted the 2 over, all right, and said subtraction property, okay, that is totally okay. All right, because now you'll add the 4, but this time we are going to subtract the 2. Okay, so see how we're still doing the same thing, just in a different order. Okay, right now that's okay, as long as we're getting that same answer. So subtract the 2 over, I get 7x equals 21, and this is going to be subtraction property. Now, when you do subtraction, do not just put sub dot property, because substitution and subtraction have the same 3 letters. So I have to be able to tell the difference. So make sure for subtraction you at least put SUBT, and then substitution you can put SUBS. Okay, because if you just put SUB, I'm going to count it wrong. Because maybe I'll just think, then how do I know if you're using substitution or subtraction? Okay, so finally what do I have to do now? Divide 7 on both sides so we get x equals what? And what property did I just use? Division. Okay, perfect. Okay. Seem pretty simple, hopefully. Okay, I'm going to have you do just one more. All right. And go ahead and look at this one now. It's going to look like a lot. All right. It gives you all the statements. Okay. But I just need you to pay attention. Okay, because this has simplifying. So see how it goes from here to here. All right. And it's like adding 6x to both sides. All right, you could say that's addition property, and then this is what you get from that, so this would just be simplify. Okay, so make sure you add some simplifying, but go ahead and do that one. And make sure you know what properties that you're using. All right, awesome. Go ahead and put that away and do this one. It's giving you all the statements, you got to give me the reasons. So what properties you're using. Go ahead and do that one. All right, this will be our last one. So all I ask you is just do this last one, please. Ryan and Colton, just write this down. I'm going to have to separate you two. The keys. What's the first one doing? It's not multiple. Well, yes, given's on top, but what is it doing on the first one? Like what happened from the first statement to the second statement? I mean, it kind of is, but it's one a different property. Oops, my bad. What was the last one we wrote? See how it's like A times B and then A times C. But multiply, this is going to be distributive because, yeah. Multiplying is if it, mostly if we're going to be dealing with like fractions and multiplying those out. Okay. Because I know it is multiplying, but that would be, it's distributing because it's distributing the 5 to both. I think so. All right, let's look at the first one, okay? Or let's look at all of them. The first reason is going to be given, okay, like always. What happens on our first step? What does it do? It distributes. So that's going to be my reason here. I'm going to put distributive property, okay? All right. After it distributes, it has this -6 plus 3, okay? And then it just goes to -3. This is just going to be simplifying, okay? I know it's adding these together, but since they're on the same side, you just put simplify. Okay? So now, what is our next step going to be? What is it doing here? Yeah, it's adding 6x to both sides. So I'm going to put addition property. All right? It adds 6x to both sides, gives us this. This is going to be simplify. All right, I'm forgetting the I in simplify, but that's okay. All right, what does it do on the next step? It adds 10 to both sides. Okay, so again, this is going to be addition property. All right, and the next one is just simplifies. All right, I'm just going to do that. Then finally, what does it do? Division. Okay, so this one should be division property, all right, and then it just simplifies. All right, do we have any questions? Okay, we'll go over more of these tomorrow and go over those properties as well. Okay, but a lot of the proofs that we're going to see, we're going to be working with the statements and reasons column. All right, and what do we always start with at the very top? Our given. Okay, I'm going to say that so many times, and some of you are still going to forget. Okay, it's the easiest 2 points that you can get. All right. I will make a review on Delta Math for you guys, okay? But we have a quiz on Wednesday, all right? That quiz is going to have the sequences, transversals, and it may have like 1 or 2 of these, okay? That's what the quiz is going to look like. So I will make a review guide for your quiz because this is probably going to be the last quiz before the quarter, okay? So you want to end on a good note on your quiz. All right. There is no homework.